Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Whiskey Web Wednesday. I have my good friend and colleague here, Pat Dunlop.
Hello everyone. Nice to be here on the Whiskey Web channel. This is great.
So before we get stuck into any whiskey, why don't we learn a little bit about Pat. Tell us about yourselves, Pat.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure there's many viewers out there who aren't familiar with me. So I've sort of been in the liquor industry in general for the last 16 years or so. Some of the highlights, though, I was the whiskey buyer at the Strath Ale Wine and Spirits in Victoria, BC, and I was also the senior bartender at the Union Club of British Columbia, which is a very fine whiskey bar at a private club here on Vancouver Island as well.
It's the kind of place you have to raise your pinky, isn't it?
Always. That is a requirement, otherwise they'll snip it off. It's great.
And a very good selection of SMWS whiskies, right?
At one time, yes. Yeah, those were all confiscated in the big raid of 2019 or whatever year that was. Yeah. So, yeah, but an excellent little whiskey bar for sure. And the Strath, for anybody who might not know, is sort of the preeminent whiskey retail shop in British Columbia. So yeah, a couple fun things, and now I'm up here at Shelter Point. I've been here since sort of mid-March, I want to say, and yeah, it's been a time.
Been a very interesting time, hasn't it?
It certainly has, yeah.
So Pat's just an all-round good whiskey guy, total legend. Maybe tell us a little bit about the Vancouver Island whiskey scene, your impressions of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really thriving. I've seen it just in my, I've been in the industry 16 years, but I've really been whiskey focused for, I want to say, maybe the last 8 or 9 of those years. And in that span of time in particular, I've seen it absolutely just explode from sort of the old guard, some of the older, a lot of the Union Club sort of mainstay people, which is a bit of an older crowd. And it's gotten a lot younger, a lot more sort of local focused as well. But there's a big, Scotch whiskey community here. And yeah, a lot of clubs, a lot of really fascinating sort of events and things like that. You have things like the Highland Games in Victoria. I realized there's one up here too, closer to Shelter Point, which I missed a few weeks ago, unfortunately.
It was raining.
Yeah.
The one day this summer it was raining.
Right.
It's the Highland Games.
Exactly. Yeah, really thriving scene. Victoria, I would say, is sort of the epicenter, but I feel like up here in the Campbell River, Oyster River, Comox Valley region, things are actually really starting to bubble up.
We're trying, aren't we?
Yeah, we're trying to make
get
things happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, trying to bring together all the loose threads and kind of get the whiskey community thriving up here as well. So, yeah, if you've been hesitating coming up this way for a visit, definitely do. And there are whiskey things happening, I can assure you.
And speaking of the old guard, I thought, since we've got Pat here, let's try something old.
Let's do it, yeah.
It's not exactly old in terms of the whiskey itself, but this Canadian club was bottled in 1972.
Wow.
So that's older than me.
That's older than me. Absolutely, it is, yeah, for sure.
And it's 25 fluid ounces, 710 milliliters, so a very unusual bottle size.
Yeah.
40% alcohol, distilled and bottled in bond under Canadian government supervision. I wonder who that guy was.
Yeah.
Was that Justin Trudeau's father?
Yeah,
maybe?
I bet it was Pierre Trudeau himself under the watchful eye.
Yeah, I better try that. I better get a taste.
He canoed over and just kept an eye on it. Yeah.
And Canadian Club is Hiram Walker and Sons. Walkerville, Ontario, so one of the main distilling Death Stars of Canada.
Big time, yeah. All those back east monoliths of whiskey making, for sure.
And this actually has the royal badge on it too, so it's been approved by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and also by appointment to the late King George V.
Wow.
1910 to 1936.
Very cool.
So we've got some serious history going on in this bottle. In fact, we go all the way back to Queen Victoria, 1898, 1901.
Wild.
So there's a whole bunch of royalty on this bottle, so let's find out if the flavour is good for royalty too.
We are kings.
Kings of whiskey.
Kings of whiskey.
Vancouver Island.
Exactly. In our small fiefdom of Vancouver Island.
Interestingly, no back label, so it's all front label on this one.
Oh, wow. I don't know what I was expecting color-wise, but I mean, that's quite... I don't know if the camera is picking it up just yet, but very light.
Looks a bit light, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's typical, I suppose, to any Canadian club of this, or I suppose any era. That is, there's like a very dusty old bottle funk happening in here.
It smells like grandmother's dusty cupboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it smells like an old pile of leather coats or something, or it's a plastic closure, which you may or may not have noticed on the opening shot there. That's
It's all about the class.
yeah, absolutely.
Class
Nothing
in
but
a
the
glass.
finest.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, this is a Canadian whiskey brand that everyone in the world knows, I'm certain. I mean, if you know of a Canadian whiskey, you know this or Crown Royal. I mean, those are the two pinnacles for sure of the old guard of Canadian whiskey.
What percentage of rye do you think's in this? I'm getting a bit of rye, but not like a huge amount.
Yeah, I'd say it's on the low ends for sure, like
like-
maybe sort of 10, 15 or something. Or, yeah. Yeah.
Vanilla too.
Yeah, definitely. It's nothing like the Canadian Club, and it's been a while, admittedly. I was saying to Leon just before we started filming, I haven't had any Canadian Club in ages.
Yeah.
But it was a go-to for sure in my younger years, so
Oh, yeah.
I've had my experience.
And what did you mix it with?
Ginger ale.
See, Canadian
Yeah.
Club and ginger ale, a
Yeah.
Canadian classic.
Absolutely, for sure.
Let's try the palate.
Yeah. Oh. That's not half bad. I mean, it's sweet, big vanilla.
That would go perfectly with ginger ale.
Yeah, wouldn't it? I know, yeah. You need
I
that.
wish I had some.
You need that little spice or a ginger beer if you want to class it
Yeah.
up a little bit. Yeah.
That's pretty darn good, actually.
That is actually quite good.
Yeah.
I'm quite fond of that.
I wonder if the production methods changed much between 1970s and now.
I would think maybe, or at least, you know, I'm sure the blending has changed a little bit, or something about it definitely has, because the Canadian Clubs I'm used to from the modern era are so cloyingly sweet, and they're lacking. There's some richness and depth and some body to this, and it's typically very thin, sweet, cloying, kind of rough. This is actually, you know, fairly substantial.
It tastes quite well put together, like very rounded, integrated. Nothing's really like jumping out too much. It's quite a beautifully balanced whiskey.
That's nice. There's some real like tangible oak influence as well, and I don't think there was, you know, there was very minimal aging going on, or there is in the modern era.
Yeah.
But this actually feels like maybe there's a bit of whiskey with a little bit extra age on it, which is nice.
Yeah. Maybe they had some older stock that they chucked in there. And,
Yeah.
I don't think they used to put age statements on their older stuff much, did they?
No, that's a modern occurrence for sure. They have a 12 now, and they've even done some big crazy years, and I've tried a few of those, but I like this better than probably any Canadian Club I've had, you know, in my lifetime.
I should have probably checked the price of this before I opened it, but it's best not to do that, because then it puts you off opening it.
Yeah.
So whenever you get an old bottle, always open it before you check the price.
Yeah, smart. I like it. That's exactly right. I've heard some horror stories about that going sideways on people as well, but yeah, you never know.
And it's not every day you get to try a 1972 Canadian Club, so...
I'd say for me, this is the oldest Canadian whiskey I've ever had.
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah, it's got to be. So
I mean, it's probably only like 5 years old, but...
yeah, exactly. Well, oldest if you're counting bottle age, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it's good. I like it. This is nice, and it's refined.
Yeah, it is. And as someone who's experienced more than my fair share of the more modern version, once again, I mean, this is infinitely superior for my money. Yeah.
Must have married well in the bottle.
Absolutely.
Over those, how many years is that? It's almost 50 years.
Yeah, that's
49 goddamn years this has been sitting in the bottle.
Yeah.
And
waiting for us, waiting for today, waiting for this very moment. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Pat, for coming along. Appreciate you being here and
Happy
sharing
to be
this delicious 1972 Canadian Club. Cheers.
Cheers.
Slanjava, everyone.
Sláinte.
See you in the next video. Cheers.
Take care.